Welcome to the Plan B CRNA Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, and I'm so excited that you're here. The Plan B CRNA Podcast is the only show made specifically for nurse anesthetists who are exploring options outside of their traditional career paths. This is the place to expand your mind and your goals as we uncover new ways to produce side income together. Journey with me as I go down various rabbit holes to explore the best Plan B options for you. This episode is brought to you by On-Call Capital. On-Call Capital is dedicated to educating CRNAs and other healthcare providers about investing outside of the traditional stock market. On-Call Capital also provides opportunities for you, yes you, to create passive income and generational wealth while also lowering your taxable income through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure you do that right now so that you don't miss an episode. Thanks so much for joining me today, and now, on with the show. Welcome to the rabbit hole of the Plan B CRNA Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones. And before we get started today, I wanted to make sure that you know about On-Call Capital's current investment opportunity, the Verdeer at Herman Park in the heart of Houston, Texas. This is our third partnership with QC Capital, and each investment has performed at or above expectations so far, with our first offering selling in just 20 months. A Class A asset with spacious 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments and convenient access to major employers like Texas Medical Center, the Verdeer has annualized returns projected at 15% or more and an equity multiple above 1.6x over a short 4-year period. This investment opportunity is available to both accredited and non-accredited investors. So if you're interested, make sure you reach out to me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com today. Today marks our 200th episode of the Plan B CRNA Podcast, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping make this show a success. I've had so many wonderful guests who were very generous with their time and knowledge, and I just could not do the show without them. But I also have to give a shout out to those of you who are listening right now. Because of you, we're seeing this whole Plan B movement continue to grow. Now, typically in these rabbit holes, I pick out a side hustle opportunity and do my best to analyze it from the inside and out. And I always mention that it's important for you, the listener, to do your own research and form your own opinions. Yes, that's a bit of a disclaimer, but I've always included it because it's also a warning. I recently attended a quote-unquote investment presentation that had all of the red flags of a pyramid scheme. It reminded me a bit of the time when I was pitched by Primerica in college, which isn't exactly a pyramid scheme, but is more in the MLM format, which completely turned me off at the time. While I hadn't personally seen something like that in a while, the truth is that there are scammers everywhere trying to make a quick buck off of your enthusiasm. So I decided to switch it up a bit for the big 200. Today is all about defending yourself and your money from those who might take advantage of you. Our rabbit hole of the day is, dun, 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 how to spot a scam. First off, how big of a problem is this? Well, 2021 was a record-setting year for nearly every metric, with over 81,000 investment fraud cases reported and over 59,000 cases involving a loss totaling $1.7 billion. And it's only getting worse. After the third quarter of 2022, that number was already at $2.66 billion, a 50% increase. The median loss per scam has also increased from $3,000 in 2021 to $4,500 in 2022. Investment fraud in the U.S. has skyrocketed by 28 times in just the last 5 years, and it's expected to grow to $3.5 billion with median damage of $6,000 per scam in 2023. What's worse is that only 42% of investment scam targets actually filed a report with the government. Reporting scams to the government gives you a chance to get your money back, and it leads to better investigations into scammers and more effective education for the public. You see now that this is a pretty big problem. So what I'd like to do is walk you through my latest experience and kind of use that as a jumping off point. Now, I'm not going to actually name this company since there is currently no hard evidence to suggest that they are a scam that's about to rip you off. While the conditions exist for a scam and may even support those accusations that are flying around right now, the only evidence at this time is circumstantial. Here's the thing though, most of the time, The only hard evidence that becomes evident often comes after the crime has been committed and investor funds have already been stolen. We should probably give them a different name for reference's sake. So I'm going to go with Cowboy FX because, well, the Dallas Cowboys win a bunch of games every year in the regular season. They get their fans thinking that this is their year. And then, like Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown, they get their hopes dashed early in the playoffs. My cousin and I walked into this meeting just a couple weeks ago, and we were greeted by two folks who are doing the presentation. Neither of them are actual financial professionals, but they have their own websites to promote Cowboy FX. They're both invested with Cowboy FX and are very big fans because they've seen results so far. So what is Cowboy FX? It's a foreign currency exchange, or Forex, and crypto trading platform that emphasizes pooled investor funds. Their mission is to empower individuals to achieve new financial heights and personal freedom by extending those same benefits to those around them. In other words, they encourage you to share the opportunity with others. More on that in a minute. Cowboy FX has many claimed advantages listed in their presentation, but they boil down to a few different things. 2 to 3% weekly returns paid on Fridays, a PAM account, which stands for Percentage Allocation Management Module. This is a pool of funds traded by experts on your behalf in the Forex and crypto markets. You have 100% access to your funds at any time with no withdrawal limits, no earnings caps, additional cashback rewards for larger trading packages, a lucrative referral program that includes direct and indirect referral bonuses, a fast track bonus, check matching that pays you a percentage of your referrals profits, a residual bonus, rank achievements, and profit sharing. And all of this for a low $25 monthly fee. Now, what first caught my eye and triggered my BS radar were those returns. They actually went through an example for us using a compounding calculator. So if you go to thecalculatorsite.com, they plugged in a 3% weekly return to show us what could happen with a small $1,000 investment over 5 years. That $1,000 projected to become over $2.1 million in just 5 years. Amazing, right? A slight return of 3% actually seems kind of reasonable, but that actually translates, when you're talking about a weekly basis, into a 365% annual percentage return. You more than double your money every 6 months. You too can become a millionaire within 5 years with a small investment and no trading ability. Just let the nice traders settling for their regular salary grow your money for you. Okay. So for those of you who may still be thinking, well, that could be possible, I'm going to continue pushing this out a bit. Let's say you leave that money in your account and just let it grow another 4 years. After 9 years, you now have just over $1 billion. That's with a B. But why stop there? By year 13, you'll have nearly $500 billion, making you the richest person on earth by more than double. Now give it just one more year, and you'll have over $2.2 trillion, or about 1/10 of the entire U.S. gross domestic product, all with a $1,000 initial investment. Cowboy FX does list their monthly returns, and they range from 7.9% to 17.1%. for 2022. And current investors are seeing those returns in their accounts. But as we just saw, those returns aren't likely to be sustainable. Technically, you could just put some funds in, give it 5 or 6 months to double, and pull your initial capital back out after that. In fact, that's the only way that I'd ever consider getting into Cowboy FX. But there are more red flags here. So let's move on, shall we? I asked the presenters if they had some examples of the trades that the expert traders were executing. I mean, I can't really copy what they're doing if they're showing several trades, from months ago, right? So that shouldn't be a hard question to answer. But unfortunately, they said, the Cowboy FX team does not share or report their trades because some trades lose money. And they found that their investors were getting spooked at times and pulling money out. And because they're dealing in Forex and crypto, they can get away with bending those rules for now. It was at this point that I pulled out my handy-dandy cell phone and searched for Cowboy FX reviews on Google. That led me to a website called gighustlers.com that provided an in-depth review of the entire Cowboy FX system. In fact, that's where I got most of the information that confirmed, in my mind at least, that this is a likely pyramid scheme. What is a pyramid scheme? Well, it's defined by the New York Attorney General's office as a fraudulent system of making money based on recruiting an ever-increasing number of quote-unquote investors. The initial promoters recruit investors who in turn recruit more investors and so on. And they go on to say that the scheme is called a pyramid because at each level, the number of investors increases. The small group of initial promoters at the top require a large base of later investors to support the scheme by providing profits to the earlier investors. With pyramid schemes, the promoter promises a high return in a short period of time. No genuine product or service is actually sold, and the primary focus is on recruiting new participants. They often emphasize easy money or passive income, and they may have complex commission structures. And all of them collapse at some point or another because the model is just not sustainable. In the case of Cowboy FX, they went from 5,000 members at the start of 2022 to 50,000 by the end, according to our presenters. To maintain that 10x, that means 500,000 people by the end of 2023, 5 million by the end of 2024, and 50 million by the end of 2025. There are only 332 million people in the US, which gives you something to think about since you're well over that by the end of 2026. There are only 332 million people in the US, which gives you something to think about since you're well over that by the end of 2026. Put another way, if I recruit 6 people, then they recruit 6 people, and so on and so forth, then it actually only takes 11 layers of the downline to require more participants than the entirety of the US population. So, again, it's not sustainable. At some point, there are no more people to join. The money dries up, and the pyramid collapses. Now back to our example. The presenters went on to explain the complex Cowboy FX commission structure, another hallmark of pyramid schemes. They were quick to say that you don't have to recruit in order to earn money, which may be the case if Cowboy FX is truly making some Forex and crypto trades. But I'll be honest, due to the presenter's lack of knowledge, lack of ways to get answers, and the unsustainable returns listed in the promotional materials, I'd kind of checked out at this point. I mean, currently people are very happy with the service, but an investment in Cowboy FX inevitably became a matter of faith in traders who aren't specified anywhere and in systems that aren't actually ever explained. All right, so you have an idea of what I think about Cowboy FX, but that's far from the only scam out there. What are some common themes among other investment schemes, and what can you do to protect yourself? First, let's talk about common features of a scam. There are 7 common features that come in different shapes and sizes. If you see any of these, it is a cause to be skeptical. Guaranteed high returns, low or no risks, invitations to join exclusive investment organizations, the chance to get in on the ground floor, claims of breakthrough technologies, penny stocks, Forex, or cryptocurrency involvement, seminars, free meals, or travel offers. Generally speaking, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Investment scams are regularly using payments with cryptocurrency, wire transfers, and gift cards. This makes it extremely difficult to get your money back. What are some of the tactics that they use? Well, your spider sense should start going off if you see any of the following strategies. Unsolicited approaches by phone, email, text, or in person. Hard sells and lofty promises. No way to call back and follow up with the seller. Insistence on a quick decision. Sketchy details. Complicated explanations or use of highly complex terminology. And emails and newsletters that have unclear sources. Again, none of these alone represent a definite scam or fraudulent investment scheme, but they should at least make you hesitate and start to ask questions. Speaking of which, how do you avoid being taken advantage of by one of these scams? Well, There are 8 easy steps that you can follow. Number 1, trust but verify. Wait, don't trust. Just freaking verify. Legitimate investment companies are registered with the Securities Exchange Commission, or SEC, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, or FINRA, or your state securities or insurance regulator. You can use BrokerCheck, a free online tool from FINRA, to review a broker's qualifications, registration, and employment history. They also include a disclosure section with such goodies as info on consumer disputes, disciplinary actions, and certain criminal or financial matters on the record. Number 2, repeat after me. There's no such thing as easy money. Guaranteed profits do not exist. Zero risk does not exist. Every investment has the possibility to underperform or lose money, and higher rewards are often accompanied with higher risks. Number 3, don't follow the crowd. Have you ever heard of an affinity fraud? This is the type that preys upon members of a common social circle, ethnic background, or religious group. They'll tell you that everyone is in on the deal, even if they're not, or they may have already claimed a few in your social circle as victims. Number 4, refuse to rush into things. I'm going to tell you right now, I wish I'd followed this one with our timeshare. We upgraded time after time in person with the sales folks, costing us a lot of money in the age of Airbnb. And I'm not saying that we don't enjoy it. We own it now, and we've taken several vacations that we would never have taken otherwise. But boy, did we pay for it financially. If folks in an investment offering are legitimate, they will allow you time to conduct your due diligence. If you're rushed for time, then it may be better to walk away. Number 5, never invest out of guilt. You should not feel obligated just because you were offered a meal or a seminar for free. You don't owe a salesperson anything more than maybe a bit of your time, and that's only so long as they can keep you interested. And they will do their best to keep you interested, but don't let guilt drive any decisions you make. Number 6, show me the money, or the papers at least. Stocks, mutual funds, and ETFs are typically required to have a prospectus and report their revenue and financials. If you can't get documentations on particular securities, it may mean that they're not registered with the SEC, which usually prevents them from being sold to the public. Cowboy FX, for example, doesn't report their trades, even though it's common practice to do so. Perhaps they don't actually have that much to report. Number 7, knowledge is power. You should never invest in something that you don't understand. And I get that this one alone would disqualify many people from investing, and that financial literacy is an issue across our nation. But if you don't know, then get educated first. And if it feels fishy, you can also just search for a given company or investment online with the keywords scam, review, or complaint. That's exactly what I did with Cowboy FX. I just searched for Cowboy FX review, and it came up with great information. Number 8, this is the last one. Ask what's in it for the person who's hawking the product. What do they have to gain from your involvement? If they stand to gain substantially from your investment, then they have conflicting interests. What do the corporate team of the investment have to gain from your investment? Are your goals all aligned, or do certain players get an outsized portion of the profits? Or worse yet, is this information not even available to you? And that's going to do it. As always, I've put several links in the show notes to help you avoid being a victim to any investment scams that are out there. There are also several books out there that include Scam Me If You Can, Simple Strategies to Outsmart Today's Ripoff Artists by Frank Abagnale. Yeah, that's the same guy whose life as a con man was depicted in the movie Catch Me If You Can by Leonardo DiCaprio. This book reveals hundreds of tips using plain language and vivid examples. And there's also The Book of Scams, How to Spot Fraudsters and Avoid Becoming Their Next Victim by Rodney Hobson. The author gives you the basic principles between different types of scams, categorizing them and listing telltale signs to help you avoid becoming a victim. And that's going to do it for the show. As always, I'd like to thank you for listening to the Plan B CRNA podcast. If you found value today, make sure you hit subscribe and give us a 5-star review. The show only grows because of you. So make sure you share it with a friend, family member, or colleague to help them on their passive income journey. And I also want to hear from you. If you have a question, comment, or rabbit hole topic that you'd like me to cover in an upcoming show, just put it in your review of the podcast. I check those all the time, and I cover those questions in future episodes. If you'd like to know more about me and gain access to passive investment opportunities like our current offering in Houston, Texas, make sure to find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or visit my website at www.oncallinvestments.com. This is Bobby Jones signing off. Till next time, be safe and take care of each other out there. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Plan B CRNA Podcast. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed the show, I'd be honored if you took the extra time. It really helps to expand our reach and get the word out about the show. If you're a CRNA who is interested in sharing your story on our podcast, I'd love to have you. Please email me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com for more information. This episode was brought to you by On-Call Capital. They are dedicated to helping providers like you develop passive income and generational wealth through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. Feel free to check out their website at www.oncallinvestments.com and subscribe to their free educational email series. You can find On-Call Capital on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our YouTube page, where you'll find all of the show episodes along with other educational videos. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.